Hey guys, welcome back to Heart Academy. This is February 3rd, 2016, and this video is for the Exploring Math class, Exploring Junior High Math class. You guys are working on one-step equations, so I'm going to do half of the problems of the pack that I gave you today in class, so you should be able to complete your homework okay. I think I told you that don't worry about doing the first page, and so we're starting on the second page with the adding and the subtracting, in which these should be your first questions. So I'm going to do these four of your homework with you right now. Please remember, while watching the video, I want you to also write down all the steps that I do. So don't just put an answer, show me the steps on your paper for when you turn it in tomorrow. Okay, here we go. All right, so don't forget, this is your street, and my job for these equations is to get the letter by itself. In this case, the letter is M. So what needs to disappear, go away, in order for M to be by itself? It is the negative 21 or minus 21. To get rid of it, remember, we have to do the opposite of what we see. In this case, if it's a negative 21 or minus 21, the opposite would be a positive 21. Put it here, or add 21. Get rid of this. There we go. But remember, what we do to this side of the street, basically this side of our equal sign, we must do to this side of the equal sign. So if I add 21 here to get rid of it, so it can cancel out, I got to also add 21 to this side. Okay? So this is where we are now. And what happens is, since this cancels out, a negative 21 plus a positive 21 cancels out to 0. So I'm not even going to bring it down. I'll just bring the M down. That was the whole purpose, was to get rid of this 21, right? So M equals 36 plus 21. That will give you 57. Okay? So now M equals 57. You can also check to see if your math is correct by plugging in what you got for M back into your original equation. So if I think M is 57, 57 minus 21 should give me 36. Is that correct? Yes, it is. So I know that my complete answer for the first one is correct. Now we're going to move on to the second one. Okay, so for the second one, which is right over here, we are first going to draw our street. Remember, your job is to get the letter, the variable, by itself. So in order for me to get S by itself, I need to get rid of this positive 14, or plus 14. To do this, we are going to do the opposite of what we see. If what we see is plus 14, you should minus 14, or negative 14, on both sides of your equation. Okay? When we do this, a positive 14 plus a negative 14 cancels each other out. Therefore, I have S here on this side of the street, the equation by itself. So I'm going to bring down my equal sign, and then you have 30 minus 14. 30 minus 14 is going to give you 16. So S equals 16. Again, you can always check to see if your equation is correct. If you say S is 16, then if you substitute 16 for S, it should come out to having equal 30 by adding the 14. 16 plus 14 is 30. So I know that this equation is correct. So S does equal 16. Okay? Now, going down to this one over here, we have Z. We're trying to get Z by itself. It's a plus 9, so minus 9. Minus 9 on both sides. That cancels out, leaving you Z. Negative 27 minus 9. So negative 27 minus 9. Okay? So I have negative 27 minus 9. When we do this, we have a negative and a negative. When you have two negatives together, you really add them and keep the negative sign. So this is 36. Negative 27 minus 9 is negative 36. So our final answer for this is going to be negative 36. Z equals negative 36. We plug that back into the original equation, and negative 36 plus 9 equals 27. Is that correct? Yes, it is. So I know for sure that Z is the correct answer. Z's correct answer for this problem is negative 36. Moving on to the last one. Okay, so remember, my job is to get K by itself. So in order to get K by itself on this side of the street, I need to get rid of that negative 17 or minus 17. So I'm going to add 17 to both sides. This cancels out, leaving me K. I have a negative 12 plus a positive 17. Remember your integer rules. If you don't remember your integer rules, go back to Heart Academy and print off another copy. A negative plus a positive, we're actually going to find the difference between the two, which is subtract them, and keep the sign of the higher digit. In this case, the higher digit is 17, so k is going to equal a positive 5. All right, that takes care of this part of your homework. There's 4 other problems for you to do on your own. The bottom 4 for you to complete on your own. The bottom 4 look like this. Okay, so these are the problems I want you to complete on your own. Therefore, I'm making you less problems to do for homework if I did the top half for you. Your other page, the page behind this one, or right after it, you have a page that looks like this. If your pages are not exactly in the same order as mine, don't worry about it. Find this page. This is where I'm going to go next, because these are your multiplying and dividing questions. Okay, so remember, multiplying and dividing, which means that you should be multiplying or dividing to get the letter by itself. I'm going to do these first 4 with you. Here we go. Okay, so remember, you're going to get x by itself. Anytime you see a number and a letter right next to each other without anything in the middle, it means multiply. So we have to do the opposite of what we see, right? When we multiply and divide, we're going to keep the same sign. So don't flip signs on these. Just divide by what you see. Because 5x means multiply, I'm going to divide by 5 in order to get rid of the 5. Remember, what you do to one side of the street, you have to do to the other. 5 will go into 5 one time, right? But remember, 1s are invisible in algebra land. So I'm not even going to show the 1. I'm just going to show x. You see how this now leaves x as the only thing on this side of the street? That's the whole point. 5 will go into 25. How many times? 5. X equals 5. Remember, you can always substitute what you got for x back into your equation. 5 times x. 5 times, I figured my x was 5, equals 25. This is correct. So I know this answer is correct because it works in my equation. Now, going over to this one, okay? Looking at your next problem right over here. Fractions mean divide, okay? So you're going to do the opposite of what you see to get y by itself. In order to get y by itself, the 4 needs to go, okay? So, got to move the 4 right away. So, in order to do this, if fractions mean divide, we're going to multiply by 4 on both sides. Multiply by 4 on this side, multiply by 4 on this side, okay? This eventually is going to cancel out. I know it looks like 4 times 4 right now, but it's really not 4 times 4. I'll show you why in a second. I'm just taking a shortcut, okay? This I know is going to eventually cancel out, leaving me with y. And then all I have left to do is the 7 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. Right? Now, this is the part that I keep going over in class. Why does this cancel out and not equal 14? Let me show you. By replacing that y over 4 right here. Okay? When I multiply by 4, okay? Because remember, this means division, so I'm going to multiply by 4. What I'm really doing is just taking a look at this 4, and in my head, I'm making it into a fraction. See that? So this 4 is now taken care of right here. I'm just doing this part in my head, but only showing you on paper this part. When I multiply it by another 4, I'm doing it by the reciprocal of that 4, which means the reciprocal, as you know from dividing fractions, means I flip it, okay? So that 4 is now represented by this. Remember, this is the part I'm doing in my head. I'm just showing you on paper a shortcut part. Now, if I multiply, I can reduce first. That becomes 1, that becomes 1. So now if I multiply these two fractions, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 over 1 equals 1. See that? So remember, all this work I'm doing in my head. I just only show the 4. Because remember, 1s are invisible, aren't they? So that's why I don't even bring it. And I just put my y. So all this work is the reason why it does not equal 16, and it actually will come down to a 1, which is invisible. I hope that helps with the explaining why it's not 4 times 4. It's really a fraction problem that will equal to 1. I just like to show the shortcut. You do not have to show that long way on your work, but I want to make sure everyone understands the process of why we do things that way. Looking at your next one. Fraction, so you're going to multiply out the 2. Same thing. Remember, I'm showing you the shortcut. I'm really doing a whole bunch of fraction work in my head. Multiply by 2 on this side means I got to multiply by 2 on this side. That's a 2, not a z. You know how hard it is writing with the mouse. Remember, all the work I'm doing in my head is going to cancel out, just leave me one n, represented just by the letter n. Equals 19 times 2. That will give me a positive 38. N equals 38. Now for this last one over here, remember, anytime you have a number and a letter by itself next to each other, nothing in between, it means multiply. So I'm going to do the opposite of multiply, which is divide. So I'm going to divide by 6 on this side, divide by 6 on this side. 6 will go into 6 one time. Remember, 1s are invisible, so I'm just going to bring down the G. 6 will go into 56 9 times. So G equals 9. So, with me completing that half of your page, that means you can do this half of your page on your own. And you should have one more page, I believe, which looks like this. So I'll do some of these for you. Remember to make sure to show all your work, though, just as I'm doing. And that will leave this half for you to do by yourself. Here we go. I have 7a. Got to get the a by itself. Anytime we have a number and a letter right next to each other, it's multiply. So I'm going to do the opposite, which is divide by 7. Divide by 7. 7 will go into 7 one time. 1s are invisible, so I'm just going to bring down the a. 7 will go into 84 12 times. Okay? It's going to be a negative 12 because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Going over to this one. It's a fraction. Fraction means division, so you're going to multiply the 6 out. Multiply 6 on that side means multiply 6 on this side. Again, don't forget, I'm showing a shortcut. This is not going to be 36 for your answer. The shortcut that we saw in the first time I did a fraction problem is going to actually cancel these out, just leaving me with one r. Negative 12 times 6 is going to be a negative 72. Another fraction, which means I'm going to multiply. Remember to always multiply or divide by exactly what you see. This is multiplied by a negative 4, so I will multiply by negative 4 on this side. Remember, all that's eventually going to cancel out, leaving you with just one u. 14 times 4 is going to be 56. It'll be a negative 56 because a positive times a negative is a negative. Last sample. That means multiply, so you'll divide by negative 8. Divide by negative 8. Okay? This goes into each other one time, leaving you 1a. 8 will go into 72 9 times. It's going to be a negative 9. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. So that means you now have these 4 questions left for your homework packet. Okay? So this means I want you to have no more than 10 to 12 problems for homework. So I hope that you do everything correctly, and hope you do it neatly, Connor. And I hope that you show your work, because that's what I'm waiting to see tomorrow. I will see you then. Bye.